program. So I have a variety of items with me here today that I'm going to share with you. And if you have questions about any the National Library Service is a division of the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C. It offers books in alternative formats for people with disabilities, people who cannot see well enough to use a traditional print book, and people who cannot hold a book or turn a page, people for whatever reason cannot use a traditional print book. Often if people hear about the Talking Book Library, they do think it's just for people who are blind, but in fact, this National Library Service is really for a national print book. So when we talk about the National Library Service, and I'm just going to use the words talk forward, people are not exactly sure what that is. It is a library service available to anyone in the United States and American citizens living abroad. It gives them access to books in downloadable format, also in a digital cartridge format, and in Braille format. So we have a very limited amount of time, and I'm just going to go over some of the pieces of the puzzle with you. This is a talking book machine. If you've never seen it before, this is the book that a patron is issued in order to listen to the talking books. So this machine has a carrying handle, it has a slot where the book goes, and it has a plug in the back. The machine can hold a charge up to 29 hours. It can be used with or without being plugged in, and it can be taken anywhere because of the carrying handle. It's got a little weight to it because all of these things are sent through the United States Postal Service, okay? So keep this in mind. This is the talking book machine. Right here we have the talking book. So someone orders a talking book and they come in these blue containers. The blue container is sent from the person's local library for the blind. The blue container contains this cartridge. We call them digital cartridges, and they contain inside of them a flash drive. That's how the books work. You take the machine and you take the book and you put it into the machine, and then the book will play.
Player on. Volume up. To increase the volume by one step, press the volume up button.
So when the talking book is not in the machine, you can press any of the buttons and it will tell you exactly what that button will do.
To start or stop playing book, use the large play stop button. Volume up. To increase the volume by one step, press the volume up button. There are 15 buttons. Fast forward. Press this fast forward button once to move forward 5 steps.
So you see that any button that you press when the book is not in the machine, it will tell you the feature of that button and give you a lengthy description of what that button does. When you slide the book in.
The Deer Stalker. Chapter 1.
Time remaining 9 hours 20 minutes.
Studying the deer, the snow, the water, the timber, the grass. The wonder of that plateau country never lost its enchantment for the deer stalker. And
you can pause the machine. You can also set the machine on a timer. So it has a 15-minute timer, half an hour, 45 minutes, or an hour. So that you'll know exactly how far into the book that you went. You can also fast forward and rewind through the machine. And if you do it just by touching,
forward 5 seconds.
It'll 5 seconds. And take you to new sections of the book.
Forward 20 seconds. Forward 1 minute. forward 5 minutes, forward 15 minutes, jump forward by chapter.
So it goes to a new chapter, and then it'll tell you it's on that new chapter.
Eburn's
Okay?
slumbers did not
So you
clarify in
have
any degree the rather dubious relation
Full control of the
between diet
book.
and the cattleman.
You can listen to a section of the book that you want. You can guide yourself directly to those sections of the book. You can fast forward through the book, rewind through the book. You can make the volume higher or lower. You can control the tone and the speed of the reader. Each of these books is read by a human person. So none of these books are read in a digitized voice. There are approximately 8 recording studios in different libraries for the blind around the country. Each book, when it's read, is read with a proofreader on the other side of the glass so that each book is specific to what is there in the book. Okay? That's the machine. You can use headsets. You can get headsets from the National Library Service, from your local library for the blind. You can also use a pillow speaker, which you can get from the library for the blind. So when I said before about that there are many people who can use this service, if a person is visually impaired, if a person is blind, if a person has had a stroke, a person has Parkinson's, a person has arthritis, a broken arm, a broken finger, anyone who cannot hold a book, turn a page, or read a book in the traditional way. Also, people who have learning disabilities are eligible to use this service. If you are a librarian, here's the application. This is the application. This is their traditional looking application. Each library for the blind will have the same type of application, but it may look different. Every public library should have a batch of talking book applications at the ready so that they can help an individual fill out the application. A public library librarian can certify an application for someone who has a visual or physical disability. If someone has a learning disability, they need to have their application certified by a medical doctor, okay? But as a librarian, you can certify a talking book application for an individual with a physical or visual disability. Also, you can have in your library all types of different brochures that are available from your local library for the blind and physically handicapped. They can provide you with batches of all the different kinds of brochures so that people can learn about the Talking Book program. The materials available through the National Library Service are for all ages. So there are children's books, there are adult books, there are books for seniors, there are books in all genres, and there are books in several languages. I will say that most of the books in languages other than English are not in abundance, but there are books in other languages. So there are pamphlets in other languages as well, all right? When you get the machine, I just want you to see, this will be in the box with the machine, and it is very large print instructions on how the machine works. However, as I mentioned before, you can just push any of the buttons on the machine, and then you will find out what that button does, all right? You can also get tabletop posters from your local library line, so you can put these up around the library and learn about the talking. You can register your library as a patron. So get your library registered, and then you can get these on a regular basis. These are the catalogs that list all of the different types of books that have most recently been put into talking book format. So we talked about this container that will come to the house. The other thing to be very aware of and to contact your library for the blind about is that you can download books off of the National Library Service BARD website onto a flash drive and load it right into the side of this machine. So you can use a flash drive with books from the National Library Service. And while in this format, the National Library Service probably has about 12,000 titles, in the downloadable format, currently there's probably about 80,000 titles. So you're really expanding the number of books that your patrons have access to. You can also, I don't have one here unfortunately, but along with the patron application, there are institutional applications. So your library would be considered an institution. You can fill out an institutional application, and then you can have access. You should also keep a talking book machine in the library as a demo. Get a book and a machine as a demo in the library. Keep it there so you can show people how it works, and you can register them for the talking book program. If you really want to have a good resource for your patron, what you want to do is you want to try and get a rotating collection of talking books in your library. Get 50 books that every 6 months, and that way your talking book patrons who may have no other reason to come to the library might want to come to the library and get some books and feel like they're part of the community and part of their public library. So you may want to do that as well. There's a lot of information out there about the talking book program. You want to go to the National Library website, which is the National Library Service for the Blind and Physically Handicapped. And you can go to nls.loc.gov. You can also email them at nls@loc.gov. So you can contact them, get information, find out where local library for the blind is, and then you can contact them and be in contact with them to better serve your patrons with this free National Library Service. This program, I must stress, has been around for 84 years. It is a library service that few of us learn about when we're in library school. So it's really important to share this information with your colleagues. There's a lot more information about your program, about this program, that we won't have time to discuss now. But recognize this machine, recognize this kind of container that goes through the United States Postal Service, and recognize the book that is available through the National Library Service, okay? The other thing I do want to mention is there are commercial vendors. All of this is free, but there are commercial vendors that do make smaller products to play the talking books on these products so that they're more portable. They're not inexpensive. They could run anywhere between $300 and $700, but they're wonderful. They have wonderful sound quality. You can use them with headsets. They're much more portable than taking a machine around. A young person is much more likely to use something like this than they are to use something like this. But these are not free, let me stress. These are for purchase from different manufacturers, and this is what comes when you register for talking books. Additionally, you want to know that the talking books, the National Library Service, has an app for for iOS products and for Android products. So your phones, your other types of devices, such as a tablet or an iPad, iPod, iPhone, you can download the BARD app by going to the App Store once you are a registered patron. And what you will see appear on your device is these buttons, so that you can use this program once you are registered with it through your smartphone or your tablet, because there are apps that are designed to use with that type of technology. So there's a lot of stuff out there. I think we've pretty much used up our time, but I want you to know, contact your local library for the blind, go to the National Library Service website, find your local library for the blind, and contact them for resources to have at your public library. If you have any questions about today's presentation, please do contact me. My name is Valerie Lewis. I am at the Suffolk Cooperative Library System in Bellport, New York, down in Suffolk County, New York, and my email address is valerie@suffolknet.org. And I thank you so much for your time today.